Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are ready with your missions, lecture notes, everything. So I'll resume from where I left yesterday. I hope you all are known with where we were. We started writing examples on Spring Framework, where I told you that we are going to write 4 examples in order to know how to implement setter injection to constructor injection using different IOC containers. One is setter injection using bean factory. The other one is setter injection using application context. Once we understand how to work on setter injections, then we need to go for constructor injection. So again, constructor injection using bean factory, constructor use application, constructor injection using application context. So we need to write all those 4 examples which I mentioned yesterday. Where I hope we are done with 2 examples. One is setter injection using bean factory. The other one is setter injection using application context. We are already done with writing these 2 examples. Once I complete writing the other 2 examples, I'll make you understand how to say on your IDE to how to execute the program on IDE. I'll execute one program where I expect you people to execute all the rest of the programs whenever you get a time. And next one is constructor injection using bean factory. The next example is constructor injection using application context. So we wrote 2 examples. I hope everyone understand the way we wrote examples. So I'll write the same example 1 and example 2, which we wrote using setter injection in an alternative way, where I'll define the method in the bean class itself. So example 1 and example 2, which we wrote, can be also implemented in a different way. I'll let you know where these 2 examples are based on which injection, setter injection. So I'm letting you know that I need to implement the setter injection. So I'm going to write a program one time in a different way. How many files I need to define for the basic Spring example be implemented? As I clearly told, 3 files. What are those 3 files? One is bean class, the other one is configuration file. Yeah, in fact, it looks like a mapping file. We'll call it as a configuration file. The last one is logic file. So I hope everyone from the class knows how to define a bean class, where we name our bean class as any name that what you like. But we started representing this bean class as an employee. So I'll represent this as what? Employee.java. See, I want you people to understand where we'll have a slight difference between the way we wrote earlier and right now. I'll have the same bean class which I defined yesterday. So I'll have a class employee, and hope everyone remember where we define 3 data members. One is employee ID, and the next one is employee name, which is of type string. So the next one is employee name, and the next one is employee salary, where I consider this as of type double. Then I ask you people to generate setters and getters, which we'll see how to do all this on an IDE to generate setters and getters. Here, I want you people to understand. Earlier we didn't define any kind of our own method. Now I'll let you. I'll define one more method here, saying as display in order to display something. So void display. So because of I don't want to return anything, just I want to use my return type as void, and I'm not going to pass anything whenever I call this display function. So I don't have any arguments to. Here I'll write whatever I want to display. Let it be system.out.println of what I want to display. Only ID I want to display. If it is an ID, directly I can, because of I'll generate setters and getters methods. I'll have one method naming it as what? Get employee ID. So get PID. Earlier we wrote this. Earlier, if I want to get an ID of the employee, I wrote the same in a logic file with an object wherever I pointed out stating as e dot get EID. If you remember your earlier examples. Here, just I'm making you people to implement the same in a different way. Where I start defining my component in this main class, giving it as display. Where I want to retrieve just an ID here. If you want to retrieve all the three properties, you can retrieve just by concatenating this with other two, let it be ename and eCell. You is clear. Then I want to define a configuration file as everyone knows from the class. How you will define a configuration file? Like you understand which object has to interact with what. Is it clear? This configuration file I want you people to name it as config.xml. So and we will not have any changes. Just I'll write it as what? Same as our previous because of there will be no changes in the configuration file that what I defined for my example 1 and example 2. Then I'll write a logic file. So logic file, some name, let it be. If I started with test.java as my first program, second one test one, assume this will be test2. Don't get confused of naming this, just name whatever you like. Just in order to test my injections, just I'm writing this program. Is it clear? So then obviously how this logic file will looks like, I'll write one more time in order to get abbreviated rather than copying my earlier content. So I'll define a class of what is my class name right now, test2. This class will have a main method and you know how to define a main method in our Java. So start defining your main method. So here I'm defining my main method. Now I need to define my logic within this main method. And as I clearly told, bean factory is outdated. You need to use your IOC container saying as what? Application context in order to inject the dependencies. Is it clear? So what I'll do, I'll use my application context. You can use any way. Example 2 is based on application context. Example 1 is based on bean factory. But I clearly told the recommended one is your application context. So I use my bean factory, my container as IOC container as application context. For that, I'm creating an object called AC. And you know how to create this. So I'll use same font, same IOC container where I need to call the configuration file which I named. This is an example which is the line which we wrote during our example. I hope you people remember. One way to implement this is using main factory. The other way is to implement using application context of our file. And this is the recommended one as main factory is outdated. And I'll show you the reason why it is outdated even during the time when I start executing these programs on your ID. Fine, now come to the next one. Because of I need to retrieve a bean right now. To retrieve with the object that what I created for application context, AC dot get bean of the bean name that what I already provided in my configuration file. What is the bean name I created? EMP bean, which you can refer to your previous code. Is it clear? Whatever I get here, because of I know it is an object, I want to store this in a object where OB is a name that what I'm creating on my own, which is of type object. Because of this is the one which represents an object from your configuration file. You know how you wrote your configuration file where every bean represents an object. Whenever you retrieve a bean, obviously you get an object. So I'm trying to make sure my object is getting stored in OB. Whatever is right now available in OB, I want to store it in object which I want to create for my bean class. So I created an object naming it as E to my bean class employee. Whatever I have in OB, what I have in OB, whatever I retrieve from that bean, that information will be available in OB. Now the same information I'm keeping in a different object called E. During the time of execution, it may ask you people to typecast, so I'm typecasting. In my previous examples 1 and 2, here I wrote system.out.println of E dot, whatever the property I want to retrieve, I retrieve. But I'll not do that because of I've done the same in a different method called display, which is a part of bean class right now. Now my task is to just call my display method. That's all. What happens whenever execution starts from main, your configuration file is getting loaded. then your configuration file is ready to recognize. Then you are asking, then you are just retrieving the bean which you named it as employee bean in configuration file. It refers to one object. So whatever the object it retrieves will be stored in O. The same object right now you are pointing out with E. Now I call it e.display. My execution will goes to this display. Then obviously what it access employee ID, and you'll get an output saying as whatever the values you assign during your configuration file. So this is what my alternative way of implementing example 1 and example 2, defining my own method in a bean class and calling that method from my logic file. I hope everyone understands. I'll write my example 3 right now, and I hope you remembered what is our example 3, where we'll start implementing constructor injection, and you all understand what is the purpose of these injections. The purpose of setter injection or constructor injection is to remove the dependencies from a program. What do you mean by dependencies? I clearly explained yesterday and why you need to remove the dependencies. A Spring allows you to define a program which is of loosely coupled, means to say where you where you don't where you don't need to where you need to take, you should not have any dependencies. So if your program is having dependencies, these injections will take care of removing those dependencies in order to make your program as loosely coupled, which will be supported by your Spring frame. So I'll go with my example 3, which is constructor injection. I'll write in a shortcut way. Constructor injection using again two IOC containers. First, I'll teach using what? Main factory. Then I'll teach one more example. So I'll here itself I'll write an heading where I'll teach you constructor injection using what? Application context. Using application context. If I complete writing these two examples and if I show you how to execute the same on an IDE, I want you people to understand with this we are done with dependency injection as well as your inversion of control. Then I'll go to one of the most important topics on Spring, stating as primitive data types and non-primitive data types. So we'll start writing this example. I want everyone from the session to concentrate. First of all, I need to write what? Bean class. Anyway, you know we are naming it as an employee dot Java. So I'll copy the piece of code which is common. So bean class, I'll copy my previous class as is. So I'll copy this class. So this is my class, bean class, which I want everyone to. So this is my bean class. Earlier what I have, because of it is a setter injection, I need to generate setters and getters. But right now what I'm saying, I need to implement constructor, not setter injection. What will your constructor have a return type? No, but it will have an access specifier. I want to make it as a public method. And because of I'm saying it as a constructor, the method name should be same as class name. So this is my method which will be same as class name. And then I'll have an arguments. If I have an arguments, I'll call it as a argument constructor. Constructor will be of three types: default constructor, constructor with arguments, and the next one is copy constructor. And what are the arguments I need to pass? Whatever I am defining as the properties of this class. One will be what? Employee ID. The other one will be employee name, and the other one will be employee salary, which I defined as double. So E cell. So now what I need to know during my example when I explained you how to convert your program with dependencies to not known non-dependencies, stating as a tightly coupled to loosely coupled. Now you can observe that this is something looking like a loosely coupled program. Whatever I get into EID when this constructor is getting invoked, I want to store that EID again in the same property called EID. So I need to do this using a keyword called this keyword. In the similar way, whatever I'll have in ename, I want to make sure it is representing in the same. So this dot ename equals to what? Ename. What is the next one? This dot ecell equals to ecell. Whatever I'm getting here, I'm making sure I'm storing it in the same variables. Whenever I implement a constructor, now you can see this is a constructor. Whenever you implement a constructor, then you will call this as a constructor injection. No more it is setter injections. If you generate setters and getter method, then this will be a obviously setter injection. Now there is no point of discussion like this is a setter injection because of we are not generating any setters and getter methods. When we start implementing a constructor in our bean class, we'll call it as a constructor injection. Is it clear? So now this is your constructor injection. Then I need to write the configuration file. Now the configuration file is bit different compared with your previous one. I'll let you know what it is. So write down your configuration file, which we are naming it as spconfig.xml. spconfig.xml. So as I keep on saying, first of all, you need to add a DTD every time when you deal with a mapping file or a configuration file, where DTD stands for document type definition, which makes your XML file to recognize the tags that what you are trying to define. Is it clear? Then everything must be what? Within a tag called beans tag, the way we wrote examples earlier. Whenever you have an open tag, you need to close the tag too. Here I need to define about each and every object as a bean. So I'll have an open tag of bean, then I'll define a closed tag of bean. So every bean must have how many attributes? Three attributes must ensure. One is ID, and the next one is name of your project, and the next one is class, where you want to call your class as a bean class. What is your ID? Same as previous. I'll write it as my ID as employee B. My name is com.klu. The package which I am going to create at the time when I start working on an exam. So com.klu. And I want you people to understand, right? It should be your project name. Okay, like what is your project name? I hope I wrote early yesterday, which is Spring DI. Basically, now here I need to represent the class too. So whenever you start representing the class, as you know the class is a part of this project, you need to represent the path. Still this project with a class name, where the class name is employee. Earlier when I implement my bean class using setter and injection, I call this as a property. But right now it is not a property. Whenever I implement a constructor injection, now my tag must be a constructor argument. Every constructor argument will have two attributes. One is value and the next one is what type of value it is. What is the constructor argument? The first one is value. I want to define here as my value as triple one. Nothing but my employee ID, where I'll represent this type as it and I'll close this tag. How many times I need to define this? Three number of times because of how many properties I have. Three properties. So I'll define this for three times. In the second case, I need to define my employee name, which is ABC, where the type of this is what? Which is a string. I hope you got the difference between the previous one and this one. Previous one, here I need to write a property tag, where it will have two attributes, name, where I need to represent the property name, then I need to write a value. Here just straight away I can define a value stating as what type it is. Now my third one, where I'll write some kind of uh, salary, let it be 30,000, it followed by where the type of this is double. So I'm done with defining what? Configuration file. So the next one, what I'll do, I'll write your mapping logic file. So logic file, because of this is my third program, where and for my earlier example, I call it as test2.java. I'll name it as right now test3.java. Will you have any changes? No. So I'll write it as same as, rather than writing it as previous example, I'll write it as same as example2, where example2 was implemented using application context. I hope you remember. So right now, because of I'm demonstrating using Beat Factory, so my logic will be same as using same as what example one. You can write the same logic that what you defined during your example one year in order to display the values. So where my IOC container implementing in the particular logic is Beat Factory. When you do this, again you'll get an out with the values that what you initialize and just right now with triple one. ABC followed by 30,000. So what is the difference between my example one and this? Example one, here it is setters and getter methods. Whereas in example 3, because of constructor injection, right now I need to implement a constructor. Whereas when you implement things using certain injection, then it should be a tag of property. If you use constructor injection, it should be a constructor. No more changes other than that. So you are aware of example 3. Now I'll write example 4. You know what are the three classes you need to define. My first one is bean class. So there will be no change in the bean class, which is employee.java, which I already have. So just I'll write it as what? Same as previous. What do you mean by same as previous? Same as previous will refers to the immediate previous example. Whenever I want to refer to a certain example, I'll mention the name. So because of it is a constructor injection, our previous example is an example where the bean class is representing with constructor injection. What is the next one? I need to write, I need to define configuration file. So I'm defining configuration file where the configuration file is where I ask you people can keep your own name, but in order to maintain uniformity, we'll all keep this name as on spconfig.xml. Fine. Will you have any changes? No. Same as previous example. Previous example states the immediate previous example that what you did. So this is your configuration file which remains in because of you implemented certain injection. The type of tags which you need to use is again construct object. Now what is the next one? Logic file, which I'll name it as my next one, which I'll call it as let it be test4.java. According, just you need to write the sequence number that what you are writing. So what this says, same as, because of I need to use this using application context, my example 2 will demonstrates where my IOC container is using application context. So my example 4, I didn't wrote any piece of code because of almost all the files are same as previous that what you already wrote. With this, where I hope everyone from the session understands how to work with setter injections and constructor injections. When you start working with setter injection, in order to inject this particular dependencies, you can use two IOC containers. One is bean factory, and the next one is inversion of control. I hope you got my point. The similar way, your example 3 and example 4 are in order to implement constructor injection using same two IOC containers. One is bean factory and the other one is application context. So I hope everyone from the class understands all the four examples how we wrote. And you know what are the purpose of these injections? Certain injection, construct injections, used to remove the dependencies from a code. Your spring will not allow you people to have any program with dependencies. So you need to understand how to inject the dependencies in order to remove the dependencies from the program. So I hope everyone from the class understands. Where now we'll execute one program on an IDE where I hope everyone from the class, I'll go a bit slow because of it is the first example from a Spring. If you execute, you feel comfortable in order to execute any program from the same framework. So I want everyone just take 2 minutes of time here. Right now it is 11:47. I keep on saying this from a long time. Slow down. So I keep on saying this from a long time. Let us make this class as just a physical kind of classroom with a kind of interaction, a kind of breaks to look into the code that what we wrote and all, rather than completely making it as an online. So I'll give you 2 minutes of time. Right now it is 11:48. I'll wait till 3 or 4 minutes of time where I expect all the students to go through all the four examples how we define using certain injection, construct injection. Then we'll start working on IDE where I'll execute only one example. If you follow understand in a clear way, it will be easy for you people to execute any other examples too. So just take 2 minutes of time in order to revise whatever I have discussed so far. Then we'll go to IDE in order to execute the programs. Okay. Okay, I hope everyone is ready with your IDE. So we'll start working on an IDE. So I want you people to just ready with your Eclipse IDE so that I let you know how to execute our basic Spring programs. Whatever you have learned so far on IDE. So I'll show you how to implement the setter injections and getter injections. Everyone can go to see my screen where this is the way where my Eclipse may consisting of many projects in the similar way. I hope you people may also have few projects. I hope you people remember you know the steps need to be followed in order to execute any simple application. To first of all, I need to create a Maven project as my step one. I hope I clearly gave you in my studies session. My second step is to I need to update my compiler from version 1.7 to 1.8. Then I need to add dependencies, three dependencies especially. One is Spring Core, and the next one is Spring Context, and the next one is Spring Bean. Once done with adding dependencies, then I need to update my Maven project because of any changes in order to reflect, you need to update. Fourth one, then you need to create your resources directory. The purpose of creating this directory is to handle all your configuration files as well as mapping files. Then you will start implementing the concepts of Spring, where I'll let you know how to create your bean class, your map configuration file as well as logic file. Then as a last step, we just need to execute the particular program. So first step, I'll create my Maven project file where I need to create a project which is of type called Maven project. So just I'm searching for a project. It is a Maven project. I hope everyone is getting my point. Just click on file, new. Here you can see able to see a Maven project. If not, go to an option called other. Search for Maven keyword, and it will prompt a Maven project. Click on just leave this as is. Click on next. You need to wait for the filters to be getting retried. Just wait a couple of minutes here so that your archetypes will be get retried. Once it is getting retried, then you need to search for an archetype which is of quick start version 1.4. The people who are not getting version 1.4, then they can able to work on version 1.1 or the version which they are getting. So this is the place where I need to wait, and you can see now my archetypes got retried. So I need to search for a quick start archetype. So Maven hyphen archetype hyphen quick start. I hope you are familiar with all these steps which people started working on creating Maven projects from Hibernate itself. So click on next. My package that what I'm trying to convey is com.klu. Maybe your teacher asks you to create a different one. Anything is fine. Then the project name which I want you people to have is Spring DA as simple as. In my offline classes, just I'll create this project name with my section name too. Because of it is an online, just I'm naming it as Spring DA. Then click on finish. It will take some time. On a bottom, you can see creating Maven project with an archetype quick start for me so that you can able to see here where everything is getting created and it is that things are getting generated for me where the project is getting generated in an interactive mode. Once it gets generated, at last it will ask, is it okay to create? Okay, so just I'll wait here. I want everyone to carefully look into the same. So it is saying that the project that your package is com.klu. Yeah, it's no, it's what I provided. My project is Spring DA, and it is saying that your package right now will be created as a name com.klu.springdy. Okay, so let it be y. Yes. Okay, so my project got successfully created. I can able to see a project with a name that what I created just right now saying as Spring DA. This is my first step. I'm done with the first step, the set of steps which I already provided. What is my second step? My second step, I need to update my Maven compiler from version 1.7 to 1.8. Then I need to add my dependencies too. Where I need to do all this in a pom.xml file. Open your pom.xml file and make sure you are updating your Maven compiler where you will have your Maven compiler as 1.7. I want you people to update it to 1.8. Once you update, you need to do one more thing here. You can able to see a tag naming it as dependencies tag. Under that, you'll get one dependency by default, which is a JUnit dependency. And the purpose of this dependency is to support automatic testing for the application that what you created. Just now we have created an application naming it as spring.di. In order to test my application automatically, it is providing a default dependency for me, which is a JUnit dependency. Now what I need to do? Now I need to add the dependencies which I already told in order to support or in order to make this project to be converted as a Spring project. What are the dependencies? Spring core, Spring context, followed by Spring bean. So, sir, where I need to search for these dependencies? I want you people to understand. You need to go for your Google search. So go to your Google search, and I want you people to search for Maven repository. Maven repository. There, I want you people to check. Just search for whatever the repository you are looking for. My first one is Spring Core. So I want to get a Spring Core. So just click on this is Spring Core. I hope you got my point. Is it clear? Click on this and get the latest version from here. What is the latest version I have? 6.1.12. Click on this version and then I want you people to copy this dependency. You can see, you can copy. Just right click, copy where I need to paste. I need to paste under dependencies where my first type of dependency you can see by looking into the name itself stating as this is what Spring Core. This is Spring Core of the latest version. What is the next one? I want you people to understand. My next one is Spring context. So I need to go for this Maven repository again. Here I need to search for what? Spring context. Earlier it is Spring Core. Right now I want you people to search for Spring context. So I got my Spring context. I'll click on the same. I'll go to the latest version, which is again 6.1.2. Just I'll copy this piece of code and I'll paste it in where? My dependencies. Control B. So fine. No issues. Control S, and you can able to see this is what Spring context. Now what is the last one which I need to add? Spring bean 2. So whatever you want to add as a dependency, again you need to go for Maven repository, search for what? Spring bean. So click on enter. So you got Spring bean. Go with Spring beans. Just see the number of usages. So I'll go with Spring beans and I'll go with the latest one again, which is 6.1.2. I'll copy this piece of code and I'll add it my dependencies. So Control V. So with this, I've added all the dependencies by updating my Maven compiler to where in my pom.xml. With this, I've done with how many steps? Two steps as the steps which I've indicated. So I'm done with the same. Then I want you people to understand. With this, I'm done with adding dependencies. I'm done with step 2. Then I need to go for step 3. What is my 3? My step 3 is all about updating my project. Right click on project. You will have an option called Maven. Go to update your project. Choose the project which you want to update. I want to update the project just what I created. So I'll click on OK. With this, I updated my project. Then what is the next one? I need to make sure I need to create a new directory called resources. Where to create, sir? Under SRC. Under main. Right click. I want you people to create a new folder where the folder name must be same to everyone, which is what? Resources. Click on what? Finish. Now you can see a new path is getting built here with src slash main slash job resources. If you are not getting here, I want you people to understand under src, under main, you will have a new folder name saying resources, right? Right click on that, just set as a path so that you will get a path here. Now this is the place where I need to define mapping files and configuration files. This is the place where I need to define all .java files. Is it clear? With this, I'm done with my step 4. What is my next step? I want you people to understand. I want you people to understand. First of all, in my step 5, I need to implement all the concepts of Spring. I have 4 examples. I'll start writing my example 1 and example. Example 1 I can't write because of where the IOC container is outdated, where the methods are already vanished. So I'll use my application context, which is example. But while I'm writing my logic, I'll show you the way how I'm not able to get those things to. So now come to the next one. What is the next one? Where I need to look into the package which was built for me, com.klu.spring.da. This is the place where I need to create what? I need to create my bean class. So right click new. I need to create a class. So click on class where the class name must be what? Employee. So click on finish. So a class is getting created for me, which is a bean class, and you know what are the things I need to have. I need to define 3 data members. One is private, which is of return type, which is of data type called integer. I need to have an employee ID. Then my next one is I need to have one more data member, which is of type string, where this is to represent employee name, and one more property. This is example just what I am writing, what we already wrote on our lecture notes. And the next one is private. The other data member is of type double in order to represent an employee salary. Here what I need to do in order to implement setters and getter methods, I need to generate setters and getter methods. Right click here, go to where source, click on setters and getters, select all the 3 methods for what you want to have getters and setter methods. So click on what? Generate. So it is generating getters and setter methods as I clearly told yesterday. For every property, you will have one getter method and one setter method. For our second property, one getter method, one setter method. Setter methods is used to set value. Getter methods is used to retrieve value. The similar way, one getter method and one setter method for my salary. With this, I'm done with Pozo class. As simple, sorry, Bean class. As simple as. I hope everyone from the class understands how to define this Bean class. If you understand how to define this Bean class, then we'll go to configuration file. Where the configuration file must be? This must be in this resources. So right click on this resources, new. Is it a class? No, it is an XML file. Now just go to other category. Search for a file which is an XML file. Click on XML file. Click on next. Name your XML file. You can have your own name, but in order to maintain a uniformity, ask everyone to keep a configuration file naming it as spconfig.xml. So click on next. Just I'll ask it to create a template. Click on next. This is what it is going to create for me. Click on finish. This is the way how XML file is getting created. If you are not able to follow in parallel along with me, looking into my screen and doing things are quite difficult. Just I want you people to look into my screen first. Later, I'll give a time for everyone to practice all these 4 examples along with the example that what I'm creating right now. Is it clear? So what I need to add here, the first step I need to add here is a DTD as I clearly told. So I want everyone to understand I need to add a DTD here. So I'll share this DTD where your class teacher can also share, or else you can search in your Google again saying straight away Spring configuration file DTD. Is it clear? Spring configuration file DTD. So that you need to search. It is saying that XML schema based for Spring configuration. I already have this in my previous project where I have created the Spring DI project for S25 section as well as S12 section. I'll get from somewhere, I'll expand this. I'll go to an XML file that what I created, spring.xml file. And this is a DTD which I want you people to understand. So I'll copy this bean stack. This is a tag, bean stack, control C. I'll close this file too. And this is the file which I'm going to start. So this is my bean stack. I hope you got my point. Is it clear? So whenever I have a open tag, I want you people to see my bean stack is getting started here. I'm providing this entire GTD as a value to one attribute, naming it as XMLNS. So whenever I have a bean tag getting open, I need to close my bean stack too. So what I'll do, I'll close my bean stack because of I started my bean stack. So this is the place where I'm closing my bean stack. So every bean stack must have what? A bean to be defined irrespective of how many objects. Suppose if I want to deal with n number of objects, n number of beans must be defined. So I want to define only one bean right now. So I need to use a tag called what? Bean tag, and obviously I need to have a tag of the same bean. And we wrote many examples. Every bean will have how many properties? Three properties. One is ID. ID is of our own name, which we are naming it as employee bean. What is the next one? Name. I need to define my project name where it is com.klu dot, where I name it as Spring DI, naming S capital. Then followed by I need to represent my bean class where this remains same. So com.klu dot, where my project name is Spring DI. What is my class name? I need to represent my class name saying as employee. Now what I need to define here, if I implement my bean class using setters and getters, means to say setter injection, I need to define everything as a property here. If I implement construct injection, then you need to use constructor argument. So property tag, how many property tags I need to have? Total three, one for what? ID, employee ID, one for employee name, and the next one is for employee salary. So every property tag will have two attributes. One is employee ID, one is name. Here the name is employee ID. So value for this employee ID that what I'm giving is 111 as I clearly told. In the similar way, what is my second property? Employee name, where I'll name this employee with whatever the name you like, you can let it be ABC. What is the next one? One more attribute, name is equals to employee salary. It can be any salary, let it be the salary that what I'm giving here is 15,000. So with this, I'm done with my configuration file, and you know how to define your configuration file because of we keep on writing many number of times. What is the next one I need to write? Logic file, where it must be defined. It must be defined in the project that what I created under the package because of it is a .java file. Right click, new. I want you people to create a class. What I want you people to name it as. Let us assume test.java. So my class name is only test, and I want it to generate a main method too. Rather than writing a main method, just I'm asking it to generate a main method. So click on OK. You will get your main method here. Okay, this is the place where you need to start implementing your logic. In how many ways I can inject my dependency injections? Two ways: using setter injection or using getter injection. And using how many containers I can implement these injections? Using two containers. One is a bean factory and the next one is application context. First of all, I'll let you know using bean factory. Then I'll go with what? Application context. I'll show you the reason why your bean factory is outdated. First of all, as you remembered yesterday, I need to use what? Resource. So no need to type everything, just you type a part of that and press control space. Whenever you press control space, it will prompt you. You want to use resource container which is a part of org.spring.core.io. Just I'll press enter. For that I'm creating an object saying as r equals to new. What we wrote yesterday, class path resource. So just write class path a part of word, then keep on pressing control space. It is prompting class path resource of string I need to provide. What is the string here? The configuration file that what I define, spconfig.xml. I hope you got my point. We are not writing anything new. Whatever I explained yesterday, we are writing the same. Now I need to make sure because of my configuration file is referring with R, I need to make sure this R is getting loaded into bean factory. So control space will prompt you bean factory. For that I'm creating an object bf equals to new. Here I need to go with what? XML bean factory. That is the one which is outdated right now. So XML control space. I need to get a prompt which is a bean factory. So I'll write even bean. Now you can see I need to have a container here. In fact, an interface here which I need to get as XML bean factory, but I don't have that bean factory because of it is outdated. So because of it is outdated, I can't use this container anymore. So I need to recommend where I recommend everyone to use the other container called application context. Tomorrow after a year time, by the time you step in industry, even that may be get outdated. A new IOC container may come into picture. Just you need to know the syntax of how to use. Because of the usage, the procedure remains same. So because of this is outdated, now I'll start using what application context. So I'll press Control space by writing a piece of code. So it prompts application context. I created object saying as is equals to new. What it is? Class path XML, class path XML followed by application context. So you can see the first one which I'm getting from this class path XML context. What I need to refer here? I need to refer here the configuration file. So where is the configuration file? spconfig dot what is XML spconfig dot XML. With this, I'm done with application context. This is my first line. Then what I ask you people to access the bean. Where I have a bean. This is a bean that what I created, which I call it object with whom I can access using this. So in order to access this bean, I'll have a method called getBean. So go to your logic. I need to access a method called getBean. So AC dot my method should be a getBean. Just press Control space, and it will prompt you getBean. Is it clear? GetBean of what is the bean name which it has to refer because of it is trying to retrieve the name bean name that what I mentioned is employee bean. So I'll come to here, I'll write it as my bean name, which is employee bean. So it is retrieving a bean right now, which you name it as employee bean. Obviously, what is meant by a bean? Bean is nothing but an object. I'll get an object right now. Because of I'll get an object right now, I want to store that one in an object of type object, which I name that object as OB. Now, whatever the bean is getting retrieved here, what is object is getting retrieved here, is pointing out with what? OB. Whatever I have in OB, I want to make sure I want to assign this one to the class of what it actually belongs. This is an object which contains three properties: EID, ENAME, ESalary, which are the actual properties of my employee class. So I'll create one object to this employee, which I named it as E, and it is asking me to typecast. So just I'll typecast it to an employee. So everything is pretty fine. Whatever the bean or whatever the object I retrieved is right now pointing out with OB. Whatever I have OB in right now, which is obviously an object, is right now pointing out with E. Anything that what I want to access, I can access using what? E dot right now. So system dot out dot, what is the next one? Println of, I need to access E dot, what are the methods I'll have? Because of I know, just I'll write it as get EID, get E name, whatever it is. So I'm done with writing. If I run this particular application, I'll get only employee ID. If you want to have all those, just you know how to concatenate, where I can concatenate this one with what? My next one, E dot, what is the next one? Get E name. So what I'll get in this case, I'll get two things. One is ID. The ID that what I provided is triple one. Then I'll get name. The name that what I provided is ABC. In such a way, if you want to get the salary too, you can concatenate. If I run these two, I'll get only triple one followed by my employee name. So whenever you're done with your step 5, where you implemented what? All the three files. One is bean class, configuration file, then followed by logic file. You need to run this particular application as your last step, which is step 6. So what I need to run, sir? I need to run a file where you have a main method. Test.java is a file where you have a main method. So right click, run as what it is. It should be a simple Java application because of it is a console application. So run as a Java application. See, the people who are getting this error, naming it as a JNI error has occurred, those people has to update. See, when I click on OK, it will let you know the error too. I'll show you an error. Okay, I want you people to look into the error that what I'm going to highlight right now. This is an error. org.spring framework application context has been compiled by a more recent version of the Java runtime class file, version 61.0. This version runtime recognizes, I want you people to read that error, recognizes class file versions up to only 52.0. What it is trying to convey, the Java version that what you have in your mission right now, others may get output, few people may get an error. The people are getting error. The meaning of that is the Java version that what you have in a mission will supports only a class file up to a version of 52.0, but this program is getting compiled with a version of 61.0. So the people who are getting this version, they need to update their Java standard edition that what they have in their mission to Java with version 17 or latest more than 17. So for that, I want you people to understand where I have sent an email to all my physical section students. I'll show that email to. There have sent an email to S25 students as well as 12 students. I'll show that email so that you will be clear. See, I name it as JNA error while executing Spring application. Dear student, just follow the below information in order to resolve this error. What is the error? This is an error stating that which is getting with uh, a version which is not a compatible. Sir, what to do if I'm getting such a error? I want you people to understand there are two ways. One is to resolve this issue, you need to update your JRE to match the version used to compile the code. Since the class file version is 60.1, you should update your JRE to Java 70 or later. Suppose if you are using Java of version 1.8 or JDK 1.8, you will get such a kind of error. The people are getting error, only very few can get. Only 10 or 12 people in a class may get this error. The only solution that what you people need to do, you need to update your Java to 17 from 8. Or else you can have one more. You have added three dependencies. One is Spring Core and the other one is Spring Context and the other one is Spring Beans. Don't touch your Spring Core and Spring what? Beans. Now have your dependency called Spring Context, which we added 6.1 point some version from our Maven repositories. Make sure the version name that what you got right now is not a compatible one. Go to your Maven repository again. Just go with the below versions, two or three below versions. Place here. Until unless many number of times if you are changing your dependencies, still you are not able to resolve your JNA error. The only way to do that is just to update your Java version from 1.7 to 1.8. Even I'm using a Java version which is of 1.8. What I mean to say, my JDK is 1.8. So I'm getting this error. The people are using this version, the people to whom the version is supporting on a console, they'll get an output whatever you are trying to print, saying as 111 followed by the name is ABC. With this, I'm done with a program called what? My Spring example, where I implemented this setter injection using application context because of I can't able to work with Bean Factory because of it is outdated. In the similar way, I want you people to try your example 4. Why can't we do example 3? Example 3 is constructor injection using Bean Factory again. As Bean Factory is outdated now, I want you to work with application context. Your example 4 is application context, but not on setter injections. Wherever you have employee data, now you are not supposed to generate this setter getters. You need to define a constructor here, the way how I was let you know in today's session. And then in your configuration file, later than property tag, what is the tag you need to use? Configuration. Sorry, what is the tag you need to use? Constructor hyphen argument. The only changes which you need to do those two. After changing those two, again your logic file remains same. Then also I want you people to run your program. Make sure you are getting an output whatever you are trying to print. And whenever you write system.out.println, your things will be displayed on a console. I request all the students to just let your faculty to drop a message in our faculty telegram group for Custer Online 3 or the faculty who are listening to this session. Just drop your room number wherever your room is located in our telegram group which we created for this cluster 3 online purpose. Just drop your telegram group so that I'll approach to the classes just to see whether students are facing any issues or not. And because of I clearly explained an example, I want everyone from the class to try your example 4 so that if you can able to execute your example 4 on your own, I can conclude and you can also state yourself saying that you are clear still till dependency injection IOC controller. In the next online class, I'll start teaching your what? primitive data types and non-primitive data types. Then I'll go with Spring with Hibernate, Spring with JDBC, then Spring MVC followed by Spring MVC with Hibernate. I hope you people remembered I gave you the list of topics where 11 topics I gave you in the first session. If you look into all those topics, I completed the first for six. Introduction, why Spring, then advantages of Spring, then Spring architecture, then dependence injection, then inversion of control, total six. Five which I need to teach. The next topic is primitive data types and non-primitive data types. Then I need to go with Spring with JDBC. Then I need to go with Spring with JDBC. Then I need to teach Spring MVC architecture. Then I need to teach Spring MVC with Hibernate too. With this, just I'll end this online session and I'll make sure I'll approach to all the classes physically where I expect you people to practice all this. If you have any queries, make sure you are approaching me or your respective faculty so that you must be in a position to execute the Spring framework, the Spring examples or Spring applications, which is in fact a simple example. Slowly, we need to understand how to execute the programs and how to create a projects too. I request all the faculty, even the students who are listening to this class, just tell your faculty to drop your classroom number in the respective Telegram group that what we have, so that I'll approach to all your classes. Thank you all for joining to this session and make sure you practice this without fail. In the next class, I'll resume back starting with teaching primitive data types and non-primitive data types.